Right. We are going live hunggan naizon rato sa nyating internet sa huu sa dokumonay. All right, here we go. All right. Let's check your live stream. Oh, yeah. All right. Day todos hamza buena hudzong. We are here. Mangaigi hegwini tatlo para un otro na episode Fanachu guahui host midzu. Tatlo, I am once again your host for this episode of Fanachu inanhu si Michael Luhan Bavakwa. And I'm grateful because I have with me three very special people who are helping plan a very special event this Sunday, October 13th, Walk for Water. And so now, not walk on water, walk for water. I know syempre gwa manamku because we do live stream on Facebook and there's a lot of manamku who do watch Fanatsu on Facebook and they're like, hey, walk on water. Ay, gaigi si Jesus Cristo. Oh, is oh my goodness. Is he gonna turn the loaf and bread into the Goodzeria and Reschetti? No, 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 no. Oh, I no. This is a walk for water. And so we are going to talk with Josh, with Maria, and with Cami, who are part of the organizing committee for this very important event. But before we get to them, though, I want to really talk about sort of why should we walk for water? And why are we doing this at a place called Litekyan? And so, first off, we live on a beautiful island. We live on a beautiful island, the island of Guam, and we're surrounded by this beautiful ocean. But I think we have to remind ourselves sometimes that Hånom ni muna posible ilinat lata is the aquifer, the water that comes from Iitsan, Ilangit. It percolates down through the earth. It comes into our aquifer. And so sometimes we forget that because I think for many of us, we're used to thinking that the water that we drink comes from the Calvo family, that it comes from bottles of water, right? We think that it comes in these sources. We think that that bottle comes from the island of Fiji, that we think that water comes from the island of Fiji, right? We think that water comes from all these mystical places. We forget that we have an amazing abundance of water here on this island. And that's what made life possible. And that's what made life wonderful for our ancestors here. But what happens, though, if that water, that precious aquifer is threatened? What happens? And so it's easy sometimes to forget about these sorts of interconnected ways. Because right now we think that we are connected to our phones, we are connected to the cloud, or I am connected to my favorite TikTok artist, right? Because I follow them. We are connected to these things, but we still need to be connected to the land. We still need to be connected to its resources. And so the Walk for Water is at its core it's part of this ceremonial sacred ritual about reminding ourselves about reclaiming this connection to the land. And it's going to be led by people who are cultural practitioners. It's going to be led by people who have ancestral connections to the land at Litekyan, who have lived on that land, and also who will tell us the stories about how that land was lost and how they have been fighting to get that land back. And so it will be a very important space. And I'm so glad to have with me three people who have been making possible this wonderful event to bring everybody down there this Sunday morning, October 13th, the Walk for Water. And so, okay, Maria, Maria Hernandez, I want to bring it to you first, sort of to tell us more about sort of this Walk for Water. I'm very, very excited about this.
Yes, oh my gosh, Sijus Masi Maget for having us on today. So yeah, my name is Maria Hernandez May. I organize with Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. and Hita Litekyan, which is a coalition of families with ancestral connection to Litekyan. And we have an amazing planning team for this event of folks across so many different organizations, which is how we have the amazing Josh Laurenti on this, as well as our wonderful Cami Egarola as well. And so just shout out to all the orgs, you know, everybody's just trying to live and provide for their families, and are just adding on top of that, planning meetings for this, volunteering their time and their energy to make this happen and make this possible for our community. So shout out to all the orgs, and check out the flyers that Cami has been posting on about the event on Micronesia Climate Change Alliance page, as well as Maget just posted it up here on the screen. Situs Masi Maget. So yeah, why should we walk for water, and why at Litekyan is a question that Maget had asked. And you know, there are just so many reasons why we felt this was the best avenue to provide information to the community about the impacts to our aquifer, the impacts to our water. The Litekyan family specifically, we learned about this project, a 700-acre firing range complex that's being built at Tailalu above Litekyan. So Litekyan, our family's ancestral land, is within the buffer zone of the firing range complex. So it's an area, it's a very sacred space. It's one of the oldest ancient settlements in the Marianas. And the Department of Defense right now is going to be shooting bullets above ancestral burial grounds, and, you know, just this sacred space that our people, you know, we go there to connect with ancestors. And so it's just something that now the Litekyan families have been really trying to push back against. It's been a full decade now since the project was first proposed, 2014. And so just nonstop organizing and resisting against this project, and kind of initially stepping into organizing against the project because our land was being affected, only to learn about the impacts to the environment, to our aquifer. And so just that alone, like what's being proposed is 7 million bullets per year shot above our island's main water source, and with impacts to the coastal waters as well, because the aquifer is also connected to our ocean. And, you know, there are 15 endangered species that call Litekyan home. And so it's impact after impact. But this is why we wanted to have a walk for water, to sort of symbolically reclaim the land that's currently occupied by a federal entity. And so maybe Cami or Josh can go into like the program itself, but basically symbolically reclaiming the land, and also honoring our water as, you know, vital to our existence, and also a big part of our identity as a Native people. We're not separate from nature. You know, we like to think that we are, you know, superior to nature, but we are part of nature. And for generations and centuries, and like 3,500 years, this aquifer has provided for our people. So yeah, we just decided, let's do this event to raise awareness for the community. And if Cami or Josh want to chime in, feel free.
No, Sidus Masi, Hungen. Sidus Masi, Maria. Yes, Hadzi Malago Comentos. Josh, Listuhau, I like your background there, Josh.
Thank you.
Hunggan, maulik ka
We were
now,
roommated.
maulik ka now
Shout out to
branding,
them.
Josh. Maulik ka now branding. Hunggan.
Hapade, buenas toranzu, Guahusi Josh Florenti. I am an organizer and activist, recently returned home to Guahan and after 10 years away. And, my purpose in coming back home was really to be shoulder to shoulder with those who are standing up for the rights of our people. And since I've been back, I'm blessed to say that I feel that I'm manifesting that purpose as campaign chair with Angela Santos, who's a land protector, beautiful soul, and candidate for Senador. But I'm manifesting that as well by being on this just wonderful planning team for this Sunday's Walk for Water celebration. So Sanamasi Miget for offering the space not only to talk a little bit more about the event, but also to extend our heartfelt invitation to the people of Guahan to join us on Sunday. So please, fam, Mailat Nihi. And I think what, really grounds me in this event, and Maria spoke to this as well, is that, for generations, our ancestors have sustainably protected the wealth and prosperity of our island and our people and the waters that surround us. And when we look at the things going on today, when we think about the firing range above the Texan and above our aquifer, we really have to ask ourselves, what are we leaving the rising generation to inherit from us, and what are we going to do to make it better for them? And that is why this walk for water, more than just being a community celebration, it's also a call to action. So on Sunday we are inviting members of the community to join us for a 1 mile walk through Litekyan, led by our esteemed elders and practitioners and fishers and allies. And it's really a symbolic journey to honor our people's sacred connection to this land and the waters that surround us. So we have an arrival time of 8 a.m. Our guests will be met with ceremony, with chant, and then at 9 o'clock we'll begin the walk through Litekyan. It's going to be a 1 mile walk, and we're also offering a accessibility route for folks who might prefer to participate in a shorter walk, if that's more in your capacity and more in your ability. And as folks complete the walk and they return back to the main gathering area, they'll be greeted by a program of musical performances that we can talk more about. We have a beautiful list of keynote speakers who will be speaking about water justice and land sovereignty and indigenous rights. It's going to be a beautiful gathering of traditional ceremony. Folks will also be able to learn about our amut and really talk about water conservation and issues of environmental sustainability. So we're really just excited to welcome all the diverse communities of Guahan to join us and stand in solidarity for these issues that should really unite us out here in the Pacific.
Oh, Sidus Masi. No, Sidus Masi. I'm for me, one of the things that I'm gofnzahu esta toro naina huhuhungo giesti conversation. I'm enjoying what I'm hearing because it's a space for a lot of different people. And that's what I really like about this is for those who kind of want to just reconnect with nature, Litekyan is just a beautiful space. For those who want to kind of understand and be enriched by the history, the culture, it's a space for that too. But then for those like my partner Iguanay Zakunay, si Desiree, it's a place for learning about medicine, for like amut, for healing. And I love that there's that emphasis too for those who want to not just reconnect with the land for food, or not just reconnect to the land because it's beautiful, but for those who want to learn to grow, to collect plants, to make amut and so on. And so I love that sort of this is not simply just like a protest, right? And so I love that it is multidimensional, and that it has sort of this very it has a sacredness to it, so that people can because I think that that'll be very, very important in terms of bringing people into this space. And so Sidus Masi, and so Cami, to you, what do you have to share sort of about this event? And by the way, I love your background too. I love the Guafek background, and if you're selling Guafek, then I'm buying. That's great branding too. If you have a Guafek virtual background, and I wouldn't be surprised because it was your grandfather who was the great collector of things. Was it your grandfather? See,
Yes,
June.
Jose like mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, him and my grandfather would go on and on. They were always talking about stuff. Yes, I would love to see your grandfather must have collected some amazing stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had some beautiful guafaks as well. But please go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, we definitely have to connect about that for sure. I have so many baby pictures with your grandfather and my grandfather together. But in that sort of theme of family, one of the things that I want to talk about is this is a family-friendly event. It is a free event, and this event is really a celebration of life. You know, in a lot of our meetings, we talk about Linatla Hånom, water is life. And Maria spoke very briefly, but very articulately about how this is a way for us activists to demystify activism, demystify these acts of protest, and really lean into this idea of happiness and celebration for our people. You know, MCCA, a part of our mission and vision and a part of our values, we made sure to have fun as a value within our mission. And really lean into that childhood happiness. And for Maria and for so many other of our members, that really looks like music, dancing, eating together. And so I do want to share a little bit about our programming after the walk. So during the walk, we will be led by cultural practitioners, and there will be a lusadzu being said during the walk as well, to also incorporate that part of our history, that complicated history, but a history that people still, you know, a history and part of our spirituality that our Chamorro people still, you know, lean into. And so it'll be really nice to see the Chamorro chants and then also the lusadzu being prayed during the walk. And we do anticipate the walk being done within about 50 minutes to an hour. And once that is done, we will start opening up our main stage to original landowners from Litekyan to share a brief message and to welcome us into the land. And also some folks from the fishermen's co-op, such as Manny Dueñas. And then we will have speakers throughout the rest of the day, but we will be sprinkling a little bit of music in between. So our first musical guest will be Jonah Hånom, who will be debuting some of his new music and some music that a lot of us in the activism space really like to listen to when we're prepping for protests and everything. So it'll be a nice like callback to that. And then going back to speakers, we have Mama Lu or Sana Lourdes Mangotnia speaking a little bit about the amut in the area and why Litekyan is so precious to our traditional medicinal practitioners. And we will also have Dr. Ken Cooper, who will also be talking to us about island security and why it's important to be very present in a lot of public hearings that are happening about some of the hyper-militarization that is happening in our islands, and talking more about water justice. And then transitioning back again to some musical performances by one of our chant leaders and cultural practitioners, Dakota Camacho, who will be performing some raps, which are always like a really good crowd pumper. It keeps the people going and like keeps the energy there. And then after that, we have a speaker, Isabella from Protect Guam Water, who is, I believe she's like an alumni from the Protect Guam Water program. And it'll be really nice to have a youth representative speak out about the importance of water justice. And we will also have a descendant from Litekyan right after Isabella, DJ Zodiac Nat, play a quick set in between as we transition through. DJ Zodiac Nat also played at our Tanai Onamu art exhibition, and that was really fun. And then we were rounding out our day with Senator Sabina Perez and a speaker from Independent Guahan, who would just like to kind of close out our day, talk more about native land stewardship, and to close out our music performance, we have Malek Motna, which is definitely a crowd favorite. We do have some tentative speakers, and you know how, you know, us Chamorro people are, so we just kind of like grab the mic and pass it around, you know, so I'm sure there will be more people who are gonna be wanting to speak, and and we gladly accept that, and we encourage it if you do feel like you have some words to say at Litekyan. But I am gonna pass back to Maria and Josh.
Oh, c'est just Masi Cami. And before Maria, before I pass it back to you, speaking of, if you have words to say or if you have comments or questions to type, if you engen guaha question mo, guaha finaisan mo para esticia, por favor. We are streaming live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So, or send me a comment, send me a message directly, and then I can ask these three. If you have any questions about sort of the intention behind the event around Litekyan itself, because I think, I think a lot of people, Litekyan is something, it's a place which is behind, federal fences. And so it's important that we reclaim that space through the transmission of knowledge. We share stories of that space so that we don't feel like our feeling connected to that space has to end at the federal fences. And so if you have questions about that, about the area, this is why the event is happening there. You have more logistical questions, because somebody was already asking food. What food? Hafana klase nenkono. And so Maria, I'll pass it off to you now.
Titus Masi. So yes, as Cami mentioned, and Josh, this is we wanted just to create a space for family, for togetherness, for community, and you can't have that without food. So we are reaching out, we have a logistics coordinator who's assisting on the planning team with getting some food from Chodi's. We also are trying to coordinate a couple food trucks on the event grounds. So yes, make sure that you follow us on our social media pages, all the orgs that are involved in this. And I'm bad and should have a whole list of them, which is why I'm not mentioning all the names of the orgs because I don't want to miss any. But again, if you have that list or somebody has the list, feel free to mention it. Here, I just don't want to forget anybody because it's a lot of amazing orgs coming together for this. But yeah, so food, we're definitely going to have food and guput, and it's going to be, aside from the food trucks, the food will be free for the community. And so just to touch on, Cami shared a little bit about the after the walk and what is going to come in terms of the programming. But so it's sort of we're having it's going to be sort of like a solemn ceremony prior to the walk. As Josh mentioned, showtime is 8 a.m. for folks to start trickling in, and from that 8 to 9 a.m. Period, we are going to have about a handful of different chant groups open up the space, which is going to be so beautiful to hear all of their harmonies together. And we also will have a water unification ceremony, and something that we're asking folks to attend. Of course, it's optional, but if you feel called to do this, we are just letting people know that they can bring in offering from either their favorite beach, the waters from their favorite beach, or their own ancestral waters. And we have some folks flying in from the NMI and from Turtle Island for this. So we're asking them to bring their water offerings for this ceremony. And during the ceremony portion, people will be able to go up and combine all of our waters together in this unification ceremony that's just symbolic of unity across, all Indigenous lands. And so another thing that we'll be doing is, if you do miss that 8 to 9 a.m. portion and are just coming right for the walk at 9 a.m., something that we are going to be announcing at the beginning of the walk is for people to go ahead and bring their water offerings with them on the walk itself, and just find a spot somewhere on the walk that you feel, you feel called to maybe offer your water in any part of the land on that route. Feel free to like place it on, on the ground. And what you can do, and Dakota Camacho will explain this much more eloquently, but what you can do is, as you place your offering down, think about an ancestor that you are walking for, and think about, the importance of water and what water means to you. And so that's something that we are going to be doing during the walk itself. And something else that I wanted to mention was that we will have the Lisadzu playing on loudspeakers during the walk route. And we also plan to honor our cello Jeremy Cepeda, an amazing cultural practitioner who recently passed into the next life. And of course, thinking of our cello, who, really was the glue for so many different movements across the entire archipelago. And so definitely want to honor him in this walk as well. So we'll likely play some of Gimatanguma, an organization that Jeremy was part of. We're kind of talking about either them chanting some of his chants on the main mic and having it play on the loudspeakers, or playing music himself, playing Jeremy's own music on the loudspeakers of him actually singing. So yeah, it's going to be a kind of a combination of ceremony in this event. And then after the 1 mile walk, we're going to move into the different speakers and musical performances. So yeah, we're just really excited to bring this event to life, and have been meeting for a couple of weeks now. And everything's sort of coming together. We are still looking for some volunteers, for people who want to assist with different things like water stations, registration table, and there's a whole volunteer list of tasks. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to Maget or to any one of us, and we can make sure that we get that volunteer sheet to you.
Oh, yes, Hungan. And I do have a question, and so I can put something on the screen to help whoever wants to talk about it. I do have a question about the route. So where will the walk through Litekyan be? And so there's a wonderful graphic here. And so who would like to talk about sort of the route that we'll be taking through? Because I think people were, because there's different sides to Litekyan. There's the side that you're not allowed to go to, and then there's the side that people are more familiar with. And so who would like to talk about sort of the route that we'll be taking?
I can talk about the walk around. I saw in the chat, I just saw my name in the chat, so I guess I can talk about it. I want to just make it very clear too, because I did get a few calls from some of our elders when they saw my phone number in the paper. We are meeting at the bottom of Litekyan. We are not meeting at the top of Litekyan near the cliffside. We are meeting at the bottom, and there will be parking areas to the left of the visitor center. So if you're looking at the visitor center, when you walk down that, or when you drive down that hill, there will be parking on the left-hand side. And there will be 3 parking areas where you can choose from. And the walk route will begin right at the entrance of the beach access road. There will be a sign that says walk route begins here. We also have taken upon ourselves to create signage at the event. So there will be a map at the bottom of the hill, right in front of the visitor center, to kind of direct you to see where all of the tables and booths and stages are at. So like I said, the walk route begins at the beginning of the beach access road, and we do have markers at 0.25 miles. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe I can pass to Josh or Maria to talk about the accessibility route, but I'll just talk about the main route first. There's a 2.5 miles sign, a half-mile sign, which is going to be our turning point at lot 15. And there will be a water station there where we will start making our way towards the beach side. And we will make our way back on the beach side where there will be a 0.75 mile marker, and our walk route will end close to where we started. There will be an accessibility zone, so I do want to pass over to Maria or Josh to talk a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. Sanamasi, Kami. So as you can see on the graphic here, and as we spoke to earlier, we really are intentional about making this a family-friendly and community-oriented event. That means honoring the capacity or ability of all the folks who choose to come and join us on Sunday. So we'll have water stations throughout the walk route to support you with some hydration. At the quarter-mile mark, there'll be a turnoff for folks who might not feel that they can complete the full mile walk. And in addition to the accessibility zone by the stage, I do believe the visitor center is also available to folks who might need an additional rest area towards that way. So however you choose to participate, maybe you just want to stay by the stage and pray the Lasadzu, maybe you want to do the whole mile walk or a shortened version of it. We want to make sure that we have all the pieces in place to support community members however they choose to participate on Sunday.
Yes, yeah, we will have a so the route at 0.25 miles, you will be able to turn around at that point, as I mentioned. And for folks who we have a lot of elders, even on the Litekyan family side, who are actually not able to walk the route. And so we are going to have a zone for folks who would prefer to just stay back. So yeah, that's going to be our accessibility zone right by the stage for any of our elders or people with young children. You know how it is with young children. If your kid's like screaming toward 0.25 miles and you're like, I can't do this full mile, then like you can turn around at that halfway point. So always trying to keep in mind our families and our manamku for this. And just wanted to elaborate on the nature center, the Wildlife Refuge Nature Center. Shout out to Maribel, who's been helping us. Okay, thank you, baby. Shout out to Maribel, who's been helping us. So the refuge office will have their ATVs ready and kind of be like our safety, help assist with safety for the walk. For anybody who overheats, like they would assist with bringing them to the nature center where they can rest in the air conditioning. There's also a restroom. You can sit with me. There's also a restroom. There's gonna be 4 restrooms at the walk. 2 will be right across from the stage. There's one right near the nature center, and then one also at the nature center itself.
Oh, Sejus Masi. This is wonderful. I'm glad that, that you have all kind of considered the needs of so many people in terms of, allowing maximum participation for Manamku, Manhoben, and so on and so on. And so along those lines, I do have a question here from one of our longtime Fanachu fans here, Senora Lilian, who Sumasga Gisanlago. And so she wants to know, will there be any sort of live stream so that those who will not be here in person on Sunday, that they will at least get to watch part of it or experience some of what happens on Sunday? Any?
So that's something that we haven't that's probably on tonight's planning meeting discussion. to figure out like if we're gonna be doing a live stream, just because it's we have to just kind of gauge capacity. Maybe we can assign a volunteer to assist with going live. But yeah, that is something that I actually have been thinking about and was thinking, from our individual organizations pages, each of us can maybe go live and designate a representative. Yeah, we definitely want our cellos who, are stateside, and not only our CHamoru people off island who can't be there, but also there are a lot of people who have reached out who can't make it that Sunday morning. So I'm just like, we're gonna try our best to do a live stream to just make it so that you feel like you're there with us. And yeah, we'll just feel you all with us in spirit for sure.
Oh, again, si Diyos Masen. Senora Lillian, I think I'm almost certain that there will be some people who will just be personally live streaming parts of it. And so so don't worry, there'll be definitely some stuff. And then is it true? Is Mighty Island gonna film some stuff, or are there gonna be some filmmakers? So there will be some stuff later, right? That'll be created from the event.
Hungan, yes. So on the registration form, there's also a media consent form. We will have Mighty Island filming the day of the event, and maybe that's for another Fanachu episode, but it's for a documentary called Follow the Water. And so we're going to be following like youth water protectors, learning how to test their own water. And so this is like the Walk for Water is going to kind of be part of that journey. So yeah, Mighty Island will definitely be there. For anyone who is uncomfortable with being filmed, like no worries at all. You can let us know and we'll be sure to keep you out of any shots. But yeah, just really excited to have like a recap video for folks who can't make it down.
Right. Biba si Diyos Masen. And so we do have some more questions that have come in. And then this says, Hungan bula ipinitita gi estina champu gefpogu estina denanya nihita fan homlo. And so this comment is aimed at sort of appreciating this event because there's so much pain in this time right now. There's so much pain in our island. And so this seems to be an event really around healing. And so does anyone want to speak to that? Because then this really goes to what I was talking about earlier, is that, people can find different things, different profound meaning in an event like this, right? Is that some people can come just for the music at the end, right? So if you are not somebody who is down for the more sacred aspects, but you just want to listen to some cool music, some people will just come for the music. And then some people just want to do like a 1 mile walk. They want the exercise. Maybe they're like Josh and they're just in it they can't climb a wall that weekend, and so they just what is it? That's a phrase in English, right? Climbing up the walls. And so they're walking at Litekyan. And so but and so there seems to be around this kind of a healing aspect. And so does anyone want to kind of speak to that issue, the healing?
Sure, I'd like to kind of share some background about why I'm personally involved in the Walk for Water, and maybe even talk about how the Walk for Water has connected to some previous MCCA or Micronesia Climate Change Alliance programming that we've done over the past 2 years. So the Walk for Water is a really great way for MCCA to continue their Amut Walk series. So technically, this is our 7th Amut Walk. The Walk for Water will be our 7th Amut Walk in the Marianas. And for those who don't know, the Amut Walk series is a series of healing walks that was facilitated by 4 women from the Marianas, myself, Muñeca de Oro, Sheila Babauta, and Mina Flores Cantrell. And we set off on this journey for the past 2 years to collaborate with folks from all over the Mariana Islands to conduct an amut walk, which is composed of 3 main elements, which are a ceremony, the amut walk, and a celebration or guput. We identified these 3 key parts that are really important. So in order to categorize something as an amut walk, they must have those 3 elements. And Maria so graciously opened up Litekyan and this event itself to collaborate with the Lemai Loves and with MCCA to have this Walk for Water be the 7th installment of that series. And for MCCA, you know, a lot of our mission is about outreach and educating about climate justice and the climate crisis, and how a lot of these problems that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis are very intersectional. And you know, water justice is becoming a buzzword, and it's a word I even saw on low-key on an Instagram post from one of the people who were doing like some of our press. There was a comment that was like, water justice, they're just creating names for these different things. But no, water justice has been around, and it's a very serious issue, and you cannot consider water justice a third world country issue. Water justice is at the forefront of the issues that come to us here in the Mariana Islands and the wider Pacific, especially during times of major natural disasters or major climate disasters, so I should say. And the way that we're able to connect the walk to water justice is that by educating our public, by educating our youth, by even educating older generations who may not be able to make some connections to these newer words that are coming out, or these newer ways that we're making these connections through the Western science and terminology, is by connecting it to indigenous lifeways and indigenous ways of gathering. And so for me, that's really important, and it has been a very important conversation within the Walk for Water group to just make sure that we are identifying the parts of our CHamoru culture that are really important in centering our voices and centering the ways that we like to celebrate our lifestyles and our happiness, and making sure that we create a space that is very open-minded and very welcoming, so that people from all walks of life can take part in this very sacred event, and to kind of demystify those words, sacred and activism and protest, because not a lot of people think to themselves, oh, I'm not an activist, I'm not a protester, I don't engage in those certain activities. But by simply having open conversations about what water justice is, and having the opportunity to come down and join this walk for us and listen to all of the stories. Storytelling is so important in our culture, and we really wanted to make sure that that was a big aspect of the walk, was the ability to listen to stories from our elders, but also listen to stories from the youth who are experiencing these issues as well. You know, that these issues are not something that are far away from us. They're closer to us than we think. And there are easy ways, there are simple ways, and there are accessible ways that we can, you know, fight climate change and bring water justice to our communities. Because in order for water justice to be a success for us as a people, we need fairness, we need equity, and we need participation. And we will be learning about those things. We will be learning about ways that we can participate in our current community. You know, election season is coming up, right? This is a perfect way to learn more about some of the issues that are, you know, plaguing our society today. And the Walk for Water is a way to do it in a fun way that celebrates our CHamoru culture and that connects us as a community. I don't want to ramble too much, so I'm going to pass back to Josh and Maria. But I'm just really grateful for this group of people who are willing to have these hard conversations and be radical in these ideas to gather our community and to make sure that we're facilitating a space that is safe and open to these very hard conversations.
No, no. Bonito isinangan mo dyan. Gof importante loko isinangan mo. It was important as for people in the United States, but also people here. And I think the way you framed it, that oftentimes we think about these issues of the scarcity or the protection of resources as something that other people deal with, but no, it's the reality that that people across the United States deal with it, and that if we aren't careful, then we on Guam will definitely have to be dealing with it. And that's why it's so important, the work that MCCA has been doing in terms of bringing attention, and MCCA and other groups have been doing to bring attention to this and to make the issue of water. Because what I'm always I'm always amazed at people who kind of I was just in Hawaii this weekend, and of course in Hawaii is also an island where more than 90% of what they eat comes on ships or on planes. And it's just this common thing in islands nowadays to live in completely unsustainable ways. And so the problem is that we also then think about something as precious as water in the same way, that we don't think about how we're treating our land, how we're treating our aquifer. And we probably just assume that you could just fill up a plane and then just bring in water. Or, hey, syempre Guahan, maybe there's water on Cocos Island or something, or who knows? Or maybe there's people just don't even care. And then it's just like, wow, we should be careful. This is our future. If this is the future of our children too. And so, but yes, so thank you, Cami, for that. And Maria, did you have something to add to that too, in terms of healing?
Yeah, I guess I was just, when you mentioned that, the first thing that came to mind was just how sometimes powerless it feels in organizing spaces in Guahan, against harmful systems that are threatening our waters and threatening our lands. It's like programmatic agreement memo from the DoD with all of this jargon that we have to kind of comb through, and it just feels like no matter what we do, in a lot of ways, we speak out, we go to public hearings, we have protests, we do, try to come up with outreach actions, pass are part of the process of lobbying to pass resolutions, and then the military puts on like a public forum and says that the one day of interaction, or the 2 hours that we have in a room with like people standing at poster boards is enough for us to fully understand the impacts of different projects. And it's just so much has happened since the military buildup began, and 900 football fields of our land has been cleared for these projects, like these associated projects. And so the violence of what is being done to our lands, to our burial grounds, and the desecration of our ancestors. We don't even have a burial council like they do in other places around the world to ensure that our burials are being treated with the respect and sanctity that they deserve. And it's painful. It's just deeply, deeply painful. And I think that's why this is something that I personally have been reflecting on, and a lot of organizers in these spaces have been reflecting on, where we are like, okay, all of this is happening, all of the violence is happening, and we're going to do whatever we can so that we can look back and say that we tried our very, very best to protect our lands and waters for our children. But we're going to try to do organizing in a regenerative way too. Like we're not going to feel like we are like as powerless as it might make us feel, we're not going to try to embody powerlessness, if that makes sense. We're still going to rise up, put forth actions like this one that not only raises awareness about the impacts of various projects to our islands, but also just so in a regenerative way, where our activists community and our wider community can come together and be like, we reached our goal of educational outreach, but that was kind of fun too. Like, we can't leave every event, every action feeling just completely defeated and overwhelmed, and we have to take our power back in a lot of ways. And so this is a big part of that. And I think the last thing, because I'm also rambling now, Cami mentioned, somebody made a comment about water justice, like we're just making up words. And I just think that, like, this is like a critical time for our island, and this is a big part of why we wanted this event, to put this event on, is because a lot of people don't realize the severity of the situation. And that's not anybody's fault. It's just, like I mentioned, there's so much going on, like we're just trying to keep food on the tables for our families. It's not priority for a lot of people to be like, oh, what's our aquifer, and where does our water come from? And a lot of people don't even know that a massive firing range is being built above our island's main water source. And there are places like in Eva Beach in Oahu where the sand on the coastline of a military firing range is testing 70 times the levels that are acceptable to EPA standards. And so that's not something that we want for our community. So yeah, this is just not something that you're always going to get those people that sort of make fun of anything and everything, right? But just kind of push forth that this is a critical time for our islands, and we need to protect what sustains us and what has sustained us for thousands of years. And I'm done now.
Oh, this Masika, somebody had actually asked a question about, a connection to Hawaii and to the Red Hill issue there, and to sort of the military bases there. And thank you. You naturally, not rambling, naturally made a connection sort of to that issue there. And this is one of the reasons why solidarity is so important, is that the U.S. military communities has bases, firing ranges, facilities like this around the world. Communities like ours have faced challenges like this around the world and are facing challenges like this. We need to learn from each other. We need to support each other. And so, because we can see what others are going through, we need to know what we should do to protect ourselves. And so that's why this is so important. And that's why, as both you and Cami were saying, water justice is not a made-up word. If you want made-up words, of course, you can watch the presidential election, or you can listen to some politicians running for office. So there's lots of made-up words there. But no, water justice is a very real and necessary thing. Now, so with the remaining time here, I want to give some final, I want to give a chance to share sort of a chance for all of you to share some thoughts here. And so I really like, one of the things that I really like here is these slides that Micronesian Climate Change posted, which just kind of remind us some of the stakes involved, or one of some of the reasons why this event is so important. To walk for water, to walk for peace, to walk for unity, to walk for culture, to walk for our future. And so many important things brought together in one event this Sunday, October 13th. Showtime is at 8 a.m. and then walk time is at 9 a.m. And then there's still plenty of things to do if you stick around, if your legs don't hurt from the walk, or if your dog doesn't hurt too much because you were just sitting there listening to the Lasodzu. And so, but so many things in this powerful in this powerful celebration at Litekyan for water justice, native land stewardship. And so I want to give each of you or one of you, you don't all have to share, but at least if you can, if each of you wants to just share sort of a final thought about the event, encouraging people to attend, something that wasn't brought up so far. We can start with Josh because we haven't heard from Josh, and Josh didn't get a chance yet to ramble. Just kidding.
Well, yes, thank you, Miget, for offering this space for us to talk about the event and extend this invitation. And in the planning of it, we really have tried to center that healing that we were just talking about and that sense of rejuvenation because, you know, as organizers, as activists, with all the trouble going on our island and around the world, as Maria mentioned, it's so easy to feel that burnout, to feel that powerlessness, and to feel that defeat. So in putting this event together, we really wanted to do something that was going to be fun, that was going to be joyous, that was going to be safe and accessible for all our members of the community. And creating that space really is fuel for the movement. It's fuel for the work ahead, and it helps get more people involved. And the more people we have shoulder to shoulder with us in this movement, it lessens the load and brings us closer to the future that we want for our future generations. So in closing, I guess I would just say that, you know, whatever your current understanding is of the impact of colonization and militarism on our island, it is by no means controversial to stand together for water justice, for our land rights, because these are fundamental things that really unite us and remind us of where we come from. And honoring that truth is what Sunday's Walk for Water is really all about. So we hope to see you there, fam. Thank you. Sainamasi.
Hey, si Masi Josh and Chikami, put for what?
Yes, I cannot go on without saying thank you to the other organizations that have helped us organize this event. We really could not do it without everyone working together and that WhatsApp group chat that we have. I really don't think we would have made this this event possible without everybody chiming into the WhatsApp. But we have Hita Litekyan, Micronesia Climate Change Alliance, Fanogi Coalition, Independent Guahan, Gimatin Guma, and at Bonsai Amut para Hinamlu Itautau, who are main organizers for the event, as well as all of the amazing speakers and performers that we have who are included into the event programming. Sidus Ma'asi for your help and for your willingness to stand and walk for our people and for our islands, and just so grateful for you, Miget, for offering this space for us to talk more about this event. So Saina Ma'asi.
Oh, Tadzagwa, Mango, so Sidus Masi Kami, and to Maria, put for what?
Tammy stole mine. I opened up the flyer to list all those. But I think what I would want to say is that everybody's an activist, you know, like we don't need to make it feel like it's this exclusive club that you have to be part of to like, and you know, like if you feel called due to concerns about what is happening to our island, if you feel called to be part of something to make a difference and to make a change, if you just have some like sense of curiosity, I don't know, I'm a believer that that's our manyaina above, that's our ancestors guiding you to be part of this work. And so definitely just wanting to create a welcoming space for everybody to come through and feel like this sort of space is meant for all of us, and we all need clean drinking water, whether you're in the military, whether you're, native to Guahan. Everybody needs clean drinking water. So I feel like this is something that really unifies all of us. And we're excited to just get this informational outreach events and ceremony and all of the different components of this very unique sort of events. We're excited to bring this to life. And so shout out to all of our organizing team, all of our organizing organizations. And yeah, we're just so grateful. So much love for everybody that's a part of this, and hope to see you all Sunday. Rain or shine.
Hungen, Utsan Patsomnak. Rain or shine, Utsan Patsomnak. Sidzus Masip, nu Hamzu na tres, then Sidzus Masip put Hamzu, nu umeega put umeekungok, esti Fanakpo estin episode Fanatsu. Adios, este ki manatli hitan.